All right, everybody, we're going to talk about seller paid closing costs today. Show me the money, right? That's what we all want. Everybody goes into a transaction hoping that they're going to get the most ideal terms. And one of the things that's most prevalent right now is the fact that sellers are very willing to negotiate and potentially pay for your closing costs. Now, how much they are willing to pay and how much they are allowed to pay towards your closing costs can depend on a lot of different factors. One of them is the type of loan that you're using to secure the property. So we're going to talk about three different loan types right now: FHA, VA, and conventional. The FHA loan program allows you to secure up to 6% in credits from the seller. That's 6% of the sales price. The VA loan allows you to go up to 4%. And the conventional loan will vary depending on the amount of down payment that you're putting down on the house. So with conventional Fannie Freddie Mac, if you're doing 3 to 5% down, you're only allowed to get 3% from the seller, and that is the cap. It cannot go past that. On top of that, if you go all the way up to 10% down, you're allowed to get up to 6% from the seller. So the more you put down, the more they allow others to contribute. And then here's one piece of information that not a lot of people know, but if you do 25% down, you're allowed to get up to 9% in interested party contributions. And so that's a huge difference, right? You go all the way from 3% to 6% to 9% with conventional loans. With the FHA loan, you're stuck at 6% no matter what, and the VA is 4% no matter what. Those are our caps. Now, I want to talk to you about something else that's really important. Is I'm really big on setting realistic expectations, and you should also know that just because you can get this amount of money and the loan allows for it doesn't mean that you're actually going to get that much money from the seller in an open market, right? That's going to depend on the length of time the house has been on the market, the amount of offers the house is going to get, that you're going to have to compete against. And also it's going to depend on what the seller's net expenses are. The seller has their own goals, right, about what they are hoping to make from that sale or what they need to make from that sale. And just because you can get 9% or just because you can get 6% doesn't mean you will. So that is always going to come down to the negotiation that you have with the seller through your agent. And hopefully you have a really great agent that knows and understands like what the market is telling us about what the house is worth, number one, how much space there is to potentially ask for those closing costs, and whether it's realistic to even ask for them. So definitely talk to your agents about that because they'll have the best understanding of what is actually realistic depending on the house that you're going after. And there's one more thing I want to add to this conversation, and that is what we do in scenarios where we have more than enough money to cover all of your closing costs. So in certain situations, your realtor can help you negotiate and get the full 3% from the seller and title policy. I've seen in certain cases that there's sometimes even more money than that. And of course, this is not something that I want to set as an expectation for you, but it does happen. So what do we do? Well, let's say, for example, we have $12,000 in closing costs, right? Not including your down payment. It's just the fees that are associated with purchasing the house. But we got $18,000 from the seller. So that means that we have a gap, right? We have $6,000 extra that we have to figure out how to use. So that's where you want to get together with your lender to find a creative solution to not leave any of that money on the table. Generally, those include things like paying for your mortgage insurance up front so that you don't have to pay it on a monthly basis. Most typically, though, people will use that extra money to buy down the interest rate. And in really favorable situations, if you've got a big old chunk of change left over, then people will use it for a temporary buy down. And a temporary buy down basically means that we are going to take those funds and divide them over the course of the first year or 2 or 3 to lower your monthly payment. A lot of people love that option because it buys them time to get into a refinance opportunity down the road while also controlling their monthly payment for the first couple of years. At the end of the day, what you use the money for or how you use it is completely up to you. Everybody's finances are slightly different. No one way of doing the mortgage is the right way for everyone. It just kind of depends on your situation. So if you have questions, if you're in a situation where you have a whole bunch of seller credits or you're trying to figure out how to do that, if you want to get connected with really great agents that know how to negotiate terms in the most favorable ways, definitely let me know. I can connect you with some really great people that we really trust and love working with. And yeah, feel free to reach out with any questions. Peace out, y'all. Bye.